3, 2, 1.
What's happening, Toku Nation, and welcome to a brand new video on the Power Astro channel. And today, we're going to be talking about Juken Sentai, Gekiranger. Now, you guys know the drill by now. Once I finish the show, gonna have to talk about it. So, before we get into it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so we can get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And also share this video with someone else who may like Gekiranger and want to hear my thoughts on it. Let's not waste a lot of time here. Let's just get to it. So, starting off, we're going to talk about the theming of this show. The theming of growing and changing, and how that kind of, like, how the characters kind of live through that throughout the whole show. John goes from this, like, his tiger cub, quite literally since he was, like, raised in the jungle from a young age, to becoming like this pretty competent guy at fighting, and who's become more in tune with his feelings, and how he just becomes like this new to a pro, basically. Then Red 2 goes from this little kid who really didn't like fighting or violence to this competent adult who can actually handle himself well in a fight, which caused his brother Go to actually change his view and grow from being this overprotective, like, older brother to this older brother that respects him and can, like, support him whenever going gets rough. Ron, she doesn't really change a whole lot, but she does kind of push the change in others as well, since her whole deal is heart. She's like the heart of the team, also the leader, and she pushes everybody else to be better and grow as well. Then Ken goes from this, like, you know, this lazy kind of goofy guy to a more serious and more headstrong guy. Even though he does tend to be serious, he does also have his silly moments as well, which I can totally adore. And, like, even the villains, even Rio, who, like, was all about becoming stronger and becoming more powerful just for the sake of being more powerful, grows and changes, and, like, mostly it's at the end where his whole flip is really there. But throughout the show, he is constantly growing, he is constantly getting more powerful, and he's constantly being challenged throughout the other villains. And he, like, becomes more powerful, more stronger, and more of a foe for the Gekirangers, which I really do dig, since I love villains that are more active, that, like, on the field, more kind of like personally trying to better themselves in order to beat the Rangers, versus, like, the villains that kind of just sit back and kind of, like, you know, don't really do a whole lot. Which is something that I did rag on Gekiranger about because of their main villain. I can't remember his name. That's how unmemorable he is, unfortunately. So, it's just, I really do like how the whole show is about growing and changing, since this is martial art based. Like, the whole motif is martial arts along with animals. And as animals also grow and change, and your skill also grows and change, that also causes you to grow and change in different ways as well. And that really does show with Ryo's character, how he went from wanting all this power and, like, wanting to be the strongest in, like, existence, I guess. He growed and changed and became pretty strong, but after learning, like, the truth about what happened that night regarding his family, he has to kind of change in a different way. He really did the growing part in, like, the most of Gekiranger, but most of his changing part really does happen in the later, like, few episodes, which I really do like. And also John is there to kind of, like, push him to be, like, this dude is like, you gotta be able to, like, be who you are. You gotta know what you're feeling, so then you can actually do good, sorta. And yeah, that's kind of a good message there. And I really do like all the different arcs in the show. I use arcs in air quotes because I don't think they're like actually like labeled as that. But I do like the Super Gekiranger part where they have to learn and they have to like learn how to be a triangle, and like every part is like important, and like up to Go's debut, I feel like that is kind of the focus for the most part, since there are only 3 Rangers from the beginning, that they have to learn to actually be a team. Since John is this guy who just came out of nowhere, more or less, and then Ranaretsu, who knew each other, but up till then, they haven't really, you know, been on the field, having to work together and having to fight together. And as that goes on, even as the show goes on, even after we get Go and Ken, I feel like that is the most important, most focused on dynamic within the whole show, where it's the triangle. That's the 3 of them. That's like what the whole show is kind of grounded by. How this trio of people have to come together and like make up for each other's weaknesses and amplify their own strengths in order to become a great team. And that even happens when Ken and Go do join the team a little later, where they have their different like flaws, like Go being overprotective and more like a lone wolf, since he's a wolf. And then Ken is this like lazy dude who kind of like doesn't really take a whole lot of things seriously. In their focus episodes where they were introduced, and when Ken had to get the side-eye, like that mech, he had to grow and become more serious and have to like have his conviction more strengthened so he can actually pilot said mech. Then Go learn to respect his brother and like support him through like thick and thin. And just like, yeah, it's like the character dynamics in this show really do like help amplify it, even with, especially with the whole theming of growing and changing, which is really good. And even Melee also does grow and change, and she kind of has a sort of interesting arc where she is mostly noble, and then she started fighting dirty, and then she needs even more power. Even before Ryo got his whole like crazy power up, she already got hers first, and she became a even bigger force to be reckoned with. And just like her shift to being a good guy, sort of, is like, that's pretty good. And just everybody here who grows and changes does fit into that whole idea of you gotta grow and change in order to become better and stronger. But the thing is that there's only one guy that doesn't really follow that, and that's, what's his name? Long. That's his name. Long is the villain, the big bad, well, the actual big bad, final boss villain kind of character. And he was like pretty mysterious when he was first introduced, and then we learned that he's actually kind of a maniac, because he wants to just do all this crazy bad things for fun. Since he is immortal, and he's like, dude, this is so boring being immortal, so I'm just gonna kill everyone. I'm just gonna send them all into oblivion and make Ryo my death god or whatever. And he ends up being his own death god. And he has to use the same technique that the villains use to turn the masters, which we're going to get to in a second, into little balls. And like these little tiny spheres that just hold them in containment, and basically. And then John is the one who carries it around the world, so he can actually teach Geki to, like, not even Juken at that point. It's just Juken at that point, since both styles are now combined, and now it's just one, like, teaching way. So he goes around the world now to teach it. And like, I really did like that ending, but I really hated it as well. Not because it's bad, but because how it made me cry. I really think the most emotional kind of endings for a show is actually seeing the characters going their separate ways, which kind of like does something to me whenever I see that, and it's just like I try not to cry at the I try not to cry, but sometimes I do, and I just got really emotional at the end. And also when Jan had to fight his own dad, and that was really sad as well. Seeing how he's so torn up about it, and it hurts me so much. It hurted me so much, and I cried. But on a happier note, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Masters. Master Shafu is like awesome. He is basically everything is training. Everything you do is training. Wiping the floor is training. Wiping down buildings is training. Punching leaves and catching them is training. Everything that you do is training you for something. And that whole idea also travels within the show, since everything that they are doing is training them for something else. Especially John, since he is the noob. He is the new guy that has to get on the same level as everybody else. And who later does. And the Masters also have different ways of training. Playing is training, strength is training, trance is training, everything is training here. Because they believe that all forms of life actually does train you for something that you'll have to face later. Which is really good too. Man, Sharky-chan is my favorite sensei. And his whole Sharking thing is like, it's hilarious, it's adorable, I love it so much. And everybody else is pretty good too. I love the development that those senseis actually got as well. And like, they're all pretty good. I love them all. I would totally kill to basically be trained by them. And yeah, it's like character stuff that are all great. I mean, even Long, who doesn't really change a whole lot, does get a bit of an explanation for why he's doing everything he does, which is always good. And then we get to some of the aesthetics, and the aesthetics are awesome. I love the animal theming, I love the martial arts theming, I love the mechs, I love like the monster designs, which are really cool. I love the suits. I really want to cosplay as Geki Red. not just like the ranger suits, but also like the whole, like their civilian clothing, kind of like their sportswear, sort of. And yeah, this show is just really good. This show it's just truly phenomenal. I don't know if it's gonna top, I don't know if it tops Kyoryuger for favorite Sentai, but it's definitely up there. I'd probably tied for favorite at this moment. And yeah, it's probably gonna be I'm gonna take a break from Sentai a bit so I can focus on Rider and Rangers and Ultra. But I totally do think that if you like Jungle Fury, which is our American version, our American adaptation for Gekiranger, you're definitely going to like this show. Maybe even more than Jungle Fury, which I'm kind of torn, kind of like, I don't know if I like it more than Jungle Fury, but I do think that they're both on the same tier of greatness, which is really high. So yeah, that's all for now. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You already know. Share the video with someone who may like Gekiranger, and also comment down below. What are your thoughts on Gekiranger? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you not watch it yet? And does this video make you want to watch it? I hope it does. That's what I'm trying to do. And see you all next time. Peace.